Hey guys, and welcome back to the Graceful Tangle YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet your very own pair of socks. I am so excited about this tutorial and this pattern. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. You can find the links in the description box below for all of the materials that I am using in today's tutorial, as well as a link to the free pattern for this pair of crocheted socks. So I recommend printing out that pattern and having it kind of alongside you with your size highlighted and all of that stuff so that it is easier to follow along with this tutorial. I'm going to take you step by step through the process of the entire process of making these crocheted socks. We're going to start with the cuff, then go into the leg, the afterthought heel and setup, finish up the foot and toe, and then come all the way back and crochet that afterthought heel. This is a beginner-friendly sock pattern. It uses only the single crochet stitch. And again, you can find the full materials list in the description box below and the pattern. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the tutorial. Alrighty, so our crocheted socks start off with a ribbed cuff, so that is what we are going to do first. Now I'm going to be using my smaller hook size for this ribbing section, so be sure to check your gauge if you haven't already so that you know what hook size that is for you. In this case, I'm going to be using a size B. I really like the tight gauge that this gives, and then I will go up to a size C for the leg and the rest of the sock. So we're going to start with our cuff, and we're going to chain our foundation chain. Now the cuff is the same for all of the sizes in this pattern, so be sure to keep that in mind as well. I'm going to move this aside so that the camera is focusing on my hands only instead of that sock. Now we're going to start off by making a foundation chain of 16 stitches. Alrighty, there is my foundation chain of 16 stitches. Now I am just going to work row 1, which is to place one single crochet in the second stitch from the hook and then in each stitch across. And that is going to leave us with 15 stitches. So I'm going to work a single crochet into this chain right here, and then one single crochet in each chain across. Now for me personally, I prefer to just work into these stitches as normal, but if you would like, you can work into these back spine stitches instead. Whatever works best for you. We will be working into this foundation chain again to join our cuff in the round, so be sure to keep that in mind as well. I am just going to work one single crochet in each stitch across. Alrighty, so there is my finished row 1. Again, you should have 15 stitches, so be sure to count and make sure you have 15 stitches if you haven't already. One thing I do want to note briefly, you can absolutely adjust the length of this cuff to be as long or as short as you want. If you would like it to be smaller, simply chain less stitches. If you want it to be longer, simply chain more stitches. It's really easy to modify this pattern. Alrighty, now we are going to begin row 2, and this is going to be the start of our repeat, which we will work until our cuff reaches the length required for our size. We're going to chain 1 and turn like I just did, and then we're going to work one single crochet into the very first stitch, just like normal, into both loops of that V. And then we are going to work into the back loops only for the next 13 stitches, or until we have one stitch remaining. So I'm going to work into the back loops only. I'm not going to work into this front loop, only the back one. And this is what gives us that beautiful ribbed look. Back loops only. So I'm going to work into the back loops of each of these stitches. And I'm going to repeat that until I have just one stitch remaining. Alrighty, so I have just one stitch remaining. It can be a little bit easy to miss that stitch on the second row, but it's going to become more prevalent as we go on. Just be sure you don't miss it on this row. So I'm just going to insert my hook into both loops of that stitch. Again, this is the same thing we did at the very beginning of the row. This gives us a little bit of a neater and nicer looking edge for the top of our sock. So I'm just going to work 1 single crochet into that stitch. Again, now we are going to repeat that row until our cuff reaches the desired length. So I'm going to show it to you one more time. Chain 1 and turn. Work 1 single crochet normally into that very first stitch. And then single crochet in the back loop only of the next 13 stitches, or until you have just 1 stitch remaining. Alrighty, so I have just 1 stitch remaining, so I'm going to place 1 single crochet into that stitch, and that is the conclusion of row 3. So like I mentioned, we are just going to repeat this row until our cuff measures our desired length. Now, it is listed in the pattern. I'm making the size small, so I'm going to repeat this step until my cuff measures 6.5 inches laid flat without stretching. If you're making the size medium, you'll do 7.5 inches, and then size large is 8.5 inches. It's basically, if you would like to change up the numbers just a little bit, work this section until it measures 1/2 inch smaller than your desired foot circumference. So say if I was going to make a smaller sock, do maybe 6 inches foot circumference, I would work until I have 5.5 inches of fabric as well. So just do whatever works best for you and the size of foot that you're making these socks for. So I'm going to go finish up my cuff, and then I will meet you back here. Alrighty, so I have just finished my ribbing, and now I'm ready to join this in the round to work my next section of the sock, which is going to be the leg. So to do that, the first thing we are going to do is switch to our larger hook size. So you can do this now. You could use the smaller hook to join. It really does not matter. You just want to make sure that you don't forget to switch to the larger hook. So I find it helpful to just go ahead and do it now so that I don't forget later, because I have done that before and it's not fun. It's not a huge deal, but you know, it's best to go up hook size. So now we are going to join this cuff in the round to form a ring, and then we will work our leg. So we're going to start off by chaining 1 and turning our work. And then we are going to insert our hook into the first stitch, and we're going to bring the cuff around to form a ring, and we're going to insert our hook from the first foundation chain, which is right about here. You see that clearly through the screen. Insert your hook into that first foundation chain. There we go. And now I'm going to bring my yarn back around, and I'm just going to slip stitch that together. So I'm going to yarn over, go through the foundation chain, and then go through the stitch that we just insert our hook into, the first stitch of our row. And then last but not least, we're going to also go through that stitch that was originally on our hook in the first place. And we're going to repeat that all the way across. So we're going to insert a hook into the next stitch of our previous row, insert your hook into the next foundation chain stitch, yarn over, pull through both layers of fabric and that original loop that was on our hook. And again, we're going to repeat that all the way across. Alrighty, so I have successfully joined my cuff together, and now it is a circle, which is just fabulous. And now we are going to flip this cuff inside out so that the seam is on the inside and that it is invisible on the outside, which is exactly what we want. And then we are simply going to chain 1 to lock that in place and turn our work so that we are now working in these stitches across from the outside instead of the inside. And now we are ready to begin our leg. Alrighty, so now we are ready to begin the leg of our crocheted sock, and this is also where you want to have a locking stitch marker handy, because we are now going to start working in a spiral and we are not going to be joining our rounds. So it really is not 100% necessary to have a stitch marker. You could simply just crochet all the way around and not worry about your beginning of round and just count like each row as one row instead of a specific starting stitch. That really is okay. until you get to the toe. So if that's what you would prefer to do, definitely go ahead and do that. Again, it really doesn't matter, I promise. I have done it both ways. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I am going to be using this marker just to better show you that it doesn't matter, and so that you can follow along a little bit easier. So I am going to start my first round by placing 48 stitches evenly around. Now this number will change based on the size that you are making. I'm doing a small again, so I'm going to place 48 stitches. If you're doing the medium, you'll do 56, and then if you're doing the size large, you'll do 64. And then when I say evenly place single crochet stitches, that can be a little bit scary to some crocheters. It's really simple. I am simply going to place one single crochet per row and then place a few increases here and there because I did 40 rounds for my cuff. That's how much I needed to do to get to the right measurement. But of course I need 48 stitches. So if I were to just go around the entire cuff and only work one stitch per row, I would come out with 40 stitches instead of the 48. So every few stitches I'm going to place an increase so that I can have 48 across. You can place them however you want. I would recommend spacing them out as evenly as possible, but you're also not going to be able to notice that these are even there. So I have chain one like I showed you before, and now I'm going to place 48 stitches all the way around my crochet sock. Okay, so I have now placed my 48 stitches all the way around my sock, and now I am going to start the next 19 rows to complete my leg. So I'm going to simply crochet in each stitch across. Now I am going to place a marker in this very first stitch so that I know where the beginning of my round is. Again, this is not 100% necessary, but if you would like to do this step, I do recommend it. Alrighty, so now, super simple, we are going to simply work one single crochet in each stitch around until we have worked 20 rounds or until your leg is as long as you want it to be. And then we will do the setup for our afterthought heel and then the foot. So I'm going to crochet in each stitch around until I have 20 rounds, and I'll meet you back here. Alrighty, so I have just finished my 20 rows. The leg of my sock is now complete. Again, feel free to adjust the length of the leg however you see fit to suit your preferences. Just know that any modifications made to the pattern itself will affect how much yardage you use, so just be sure to keep that in mind. Okay, so now I am going to remove my marker, and it is time to work our heel setup. Now I have a very detailed video on how to work the crochet afterthought heel and setup. I will link that down below if you want some more just in-depth instructions. But in this video, I'm just going to walk it through with you a little bit quicker than I did in that video. So again, that is linked down below if you want to check it out. Alrighty, so the first step in our heel setup is to work across half of the stitches. So of course that varies depending on what size that you are making. I'm making the size small, so I'm going to work across 24 stitches. So I'm just going to single crochet across 24 stitches, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I just worked across half of my stitches, which again for me is 24, and now I'm going to chain the second half of my stitches. So again, that is also 24 for me. That will vary depending on what size that you're doing, but again, that is all listed in the pattern linked down below. So now I am simply going to chain 24 stitches. Alrighty, here is my 24 stitch chain, and now it is time to simply skip that same number of stitches. So we are skipping the second half of the stitches on our leg, and then we will single crochet into the next stitch. So for me, that is 24 stitches, so I'm going to skip 24. Okay, I have my 24 stitches all counted out. The 25th is marked with my thumb, so I'm simply going to insert my hook into that stitch and work a single crochet as normal into that. And this is our beginning of the round, so if you are using a stitch marker, go ahead and place that in the stitch that you just crocheted right into there. And now simply crochet around the entire foot of the sock. So we are literally just gonna skip all of these stitches. We're gonna keep skipping them. We're gonna work into these 24 stitches instead, and then there will be a big hole here, which is where we will put our heel after our foot is done. So I'm gonna work across these 24 stitches, and then I will show you how to work across these in a way that will make the whole heel a little bit more invisible later on. Okay, so I am to my chain stitches. Again, we are completely ignoring these stitches that we skipped on the last row. Now, in order to make this as invisible as possible, I recommend working into the spines of the stitches. So in a standard crochet chain, you have the V's at the top, and then the spine of the stitches is at the back. I recommend working into these stitches for this part, and then we'll work into the V's when we come back and crochet the afterthought heel in just a little bit. Okay, so I have now worked across those 24 stitches, and I'm ready to continue the foot. So we are simply going to be continuing the foot by single crocheting in each stitch all the way around until we are ready for the toe. Now, if you are doing the toe that's included in this pattern, which is a rounded toe, rounded crochet toe, leave 4¼ inches, so 4.25 inches to compensate for the length of both the toe and the heel. You're more than welcome to use your own toe for this pattern if that is something that you decide to do. But if you do that, simply remember to leave 2 inches of the foot length for the heel. So for me personally, just to give you a little bit of an idea, my foot is 8¼ inches long. So I'm going to subtract 4¼ by 8¼ and that is going to leave me with 4 inches. So I'm going to crochet until my foot measures 4 inches, and then I will meet you back here to work the toe. Alrighty, so I have now finished the foot of my sock and I am ready to complete the toe. Now, a couple of things to mention before we start on the toe. First, it is the same exact instructions for all of the sizes. So no matter what size you are making, you're going to follow these same exact instructions for it. And then also, it is very important that you count your stitches and make sure that you have the exact number that your size calls for. So whether that is small, medium, or large, in this case, I'm making the size small, so I want to make sure that I have 48 stitches all the way around, which I do, but you want to make sure you have that correct number because that is what's going to make our decreases line up and be even all the way across. Now, a couple of other things. First off, it is now important to have a locking stitch marker. So whether you have had one throughout the sock or not, you're going to want one for the increases because trust me, it is going, the decreases, because trust me, it's going to make your life so much easier. Nobody wants to count every single stitch while they're trying to do decreases. I recommend having this stitch marker. But I do want to show you one small thing before we actually get started. As you can see, I have kept up with my locking stitch marker throughout the process of crocheting the foot of my sock. I started the beginning of round here, and now my beginning of round is all the way over here, and that is simply because we are working in a spiral. So this is just kind of goes to show you that you're not required to use this marker throughout the sock. If you find it a little bit too cumbersome or just, frustrating to have to stop after every single row and remove and then replace that marker, it really is unnecessary. If you are comfortable with just marking, honestly, just a random stitch for this toe section, and that is perfectly fine. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that and felt comfortable doing that in the future. Alright, so we are now ready to begin our toe. We're going to start with the very first round, which is our first decrease round. So I'm going to remove my marker and work the first stitch. Our repeat is going to be single crochet 6 and then single crochet 2 together. So I'm going to work my first stitch here, and then I'm going to put my marker, there it is, back in that very first stitch so that I know what stitch I marked first. And I'm going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, so that's going to total 6. So I have 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to repeat that all the way around until I get back to my marker. I'm going to show you it a couple more times. So we're going to single crochet 1 in each of the next 6 stitches. There's 2. Whoops, lost it there. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to single crochet the next 2 together, pull up a loop into the next stitch and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops on the hook. Alright, so I'm just going to repeat this all the way around, and then I will meet you back here for round 2. Alrighty, so I just completed round 1. I finished off with that single crochet 2 together, and now I am ready to start round 2. Now round 2 is exactly the same as all of our even rows throughout this entire toe and the heel. The toe and the heel are the same, and that is simply single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to place a single crochet in my first stitch, and then mark it to mark my beginning of round, just like so. And then I am simply going to single crochet in each stitch around. And like I said, this is the same exact round that we are going to do for every even round throughout our sock. This toe is 13 total rounds, so we are going to repeat this round every even round. Alrighty, so I have completed round 2 and I'm ready for round 3. I'm going to remove my marker. For round 3, you're going to notice a pattern pretty quickly. Our repeat is single crochet 5 and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So I'm going to place a single crochet in this first stitch and replace my marker. And then I'm going to work a single crochet in each of the next 4 for a total of 5. So there's 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So again, single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. There's 3, 4, and 5. And then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Alrighty, I have completed round 3 and I have went ahead, removed, and replaced my marker. Now round 4 is exactly the same as every even round. We are just going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Alrighty, I am back to my marker and ready for round 5, which is going to be our next decrease round. So simply remove that marker and single crochet in the next stitch and then replace that. Our repeat for round 5 is going to be single crochet 4, single crochet 2 together. So we have already worked 1 and we've placed our marker. Now we're going to work 3 more, 2, 3, and 4, and then we are going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And you guessed it, we are simply going to repeat that all the way around our sock. So we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, 3 and 4, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Repeat that all the way around. Alrighty, I have finished my round 5, which was single crochet 4, single crochet 2 together. Now I have removed and replaced my marker, and I'm ready for round 6, which is an even round, which means that we single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay, I'm back to my marker and I'm ready for round 7, our next decrease round. Just again to note, every odd round is a decrease round, every even round is a plain single crochet round. So I have just worked a single crochet in the next stitch, and I'm going to place my marker, and that of course counts as my first stitch of the repeat. The repeat for this round is going to be a single crochet 3, single crochet 2 together. So I've just worked 1, I'm going to work 2 more to total 3. And then I'm going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Again, that repeat is single crochet 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, and then single crochet the next 2 stitches. And repeat that all the way around. There we go, there's our next decrease round completed. We're back at an even round, so simply single crochet in each stitch around. And here we are, back at our stitch marker. You can see that the toe is getting smaller and smaller, which is always super exciting. We are going to single crochet in the next stitch and replace the marker to mark that stitch and begin our next decrease round. The repeat is, again, I'm sure you've caught on by now, we are going to single crochet 2 in the next 2 stitches and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So again, we're going to single crochet 1 in each of the next 2 stitches, then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. Alrighty, we have just completed round 9, so it is time for round 10. We're getting so close to the end of this toe, guys. We're simply going to single crochet in each stitch around since it is an even round. Okay, I'm back to my marker. It's getting quicker and quicker because there is just fewer and fewer stitches. I'm going to single crochet in that next stitch, remove and replace the marker, and that is basically our repeat. We're simply going to single crochet in the next stitch, then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So just 1 stitch in between each decrease stitch. Again, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. And simply repeat that around our entire toe, which is just going to get smaller and smaller. I know these last few rounds can be just a little bit finicky to work with because it is a small circumference, but just be patient, you know, kind of place your other fingers where it's most comfortable, where it helps you the most, and trust me, you can do it. You're so close. Alrighty, there's our round completed, and now it is time for our last even round, which is round 12. Simply crochet in each stitch across. Now at this point, I actually find it the most helpful to remove my marker and not put it back. So I'm just going to take that out and I am simply going to single crochet in each of these stitches. Alrighty, I'm back at the beginning of my round. Again, I have chosen to remove my marker, but you can simply keep it in, whatever works best for you. I just find that it tends to get in the way when there's so few stitches. Our very last decrease round and our very last round of the toe is round 13, and we are simply going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. So simply work into the next 2 stitches and make those into one by single crocheting them together, and we're going to do that all the way around. Your final count will vary just a little bit depending on what size that you are doing, but for me, since I'm doing the size small, I'm going to have 6 stitches at the end of this round. So there's my 3rd decrease, there's 4, 5, I'm working now, and then last one, 6, and there we go. When you have finished that last round, simply slip stitch into the next stitch, just like so, just to close and secure that round. And then I'm going to grab my scissors over here, and I'm going to cut, leaving a little bit of a tail because we are going to use that to close up this hole. So just about a 6-inch tail or so. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through to finish that off securely. And then the last step of this toe is going to be to weave in that end in such a way that it closes the hole. So I have threaded my yarn needle, and now I am just going to work all the way around by weaving through the front loops only of these stitches. And that is just going to make it as invisible as possible. If you would like to do a different way to close this toe, you can absolutely do that. Whatever preference you have is completely fine. For me personally, I really like to work into the fronts of the stitches only. So I'm just going to insert my needle into the next stitch and poke it through, and then I'm just going to wrap it around and insert into the front loop of the next stitch. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. If you find it comfortable, you can go ahead and pull the needle through, or you can wait until you've done all the stitches. It really does not make a difference at all. I just find that I can go a little bit quicker if I do a couple of stitches at a time. To me, I always prefer to go quicker if at all possible. Alrighty, and then I'm just going to do one into that slip stitch that we just did as well. And then I'm going to simply pull that tight. And there we go. The hole is completely closed. Now I'm going to weave that through a couple of the loops and then go through the center of that toe that we just closed up. And I'm going to stick my hand down the sock, so through the cuff all the way down the sock. And I'm just going to, well, there went my yarn. Let's rethread that, shall we? Rookie mistake, huh? Okay, there we go. And now I'm just going to pull that needle all the way through the sock. And then I will weave it in on the inside to make it nice and secure and hidden. And there is our completed sock toe. So now that we have finished that, it is time to work the afterthought heel. Alrighty, so now that the foot of our sock is completed, it is time to work the afterthought heel. Now, if you're following this pattern, it's going to be almost exactly the same as the toe of your sock, so keep that in mind. If you're just adding this on to a already finished sock, then it might be a little bit different than what you did for your toe. So, to start, we are simply going to pick up a stitch along any of the skipped leg stitches. So we are simply going to insert our hook into literally any of these stitches. It truly does not matter which one. We're going to place our yarn over our hook, pull through, and then we are going to chain one to lock that in place. Always remember to work with your yarn that's attached to your ball instead of your tail. Let's be honest, we've all made that mistake, haven't we? Alrighty, and now it is time to actually begin crocheting. So we are going to start by placing one single crochet in each stitch around, as well as an additional stitch in each of the corners to prevent any gaps. So we are simply going to place a single crochet in that stitch that we did a chain one into, and then a single crochet in each stitch around. I am actually going to be crocheting over my tail for the first few stitches, just to go ahead and weave it in so that I don't have to worry about it later. You totally don't have to do that, but I personally like it because, like I said, you don't have to weave it in later if you do that. Alrighty, and I am just crocheting all the way around. Now, these are the skipped leg stitches, so they're going to be really easy to work into. Now, those stitches that we chained after skipping these leg stitches, they're going to be just a little bit tighter. So keep that in mind, but it is totally normal and not a bad thing at all. So I am almost to my corner here. I'm going to stop working over that tail now. I did it for a few stitches, so it is nice and secure. And I'm just going to continue, crocheting until I get to that corner. Okay, so here I am. I'm at the corner. You can see that I already placed a single crochet in that stitch. And then here is my corner where I have skipped the last stitch and then chained the first stitch. So I'm just going to place a single crochet stitch into that. Literally anywhere you see fit is perfectly fine. What we're trying to do is just eliminate any gaps that could occur. Now we are going to work into these stitches that we chained. Now remember that I worked into the spine of my stitches because in my opinion it gives the most invisible look. However, simply just work into any spot that you haven't already worked into in those chain stitches. And there should be half the amount of stitches that you should have had around the entire leg of your sock. For me, I had 48 stitches around, so I'm going to be working across 24. So I am simply going to insert my hook into each of these stitches and work one single crochet. Alrighty, so I have worked in each of those stitches, and now I'm going to place my corner stitch again, just where those two ends meet, and then I'm going to work across the rest of my skipped leg stitches until I get to the very first single crochet stitch that I did. And it looks like I'm almost there. These stitches are so much looser than those chain stitches are. Alrighty, and here I am. Now I am not going to slip stitch or anything. Just like the toe of our sock, this is worked completely in the round without joining. So I'm simply going to single crochet into that stitch, just like normal. Not going to slip stitch, not going to chain, literally just single crochet into it. And then I'm going to place my locking stitch marker. And now I'm ready to begin the next round. So at this point, you should have however many stitches that you had for your leg. So again, that is 48 stitches for me, plus 2, because we picked up 1 stitch on each of the corners, again, to eliminate any gaps. And then this round, we are going to decrease by 2 stitches to get us to that original stitch count. Again, for me, that is 48. Okay, so I'm going to single crochet in each stitch, just 1 in each stitch around, until I get to the first corner. Alrighty, so I am to that corner now. I have these 2 stitches that I'm going to single crochet them together. Now it really doesn't matter which 2 you single crochet together. So here is my corner stitch. I could single crochet these 2 together. I could single crochet these 2 together. It really does not matter. I'm just going to do these 2 just for this sock. Again, it doesn't matter. The point is to get to that original stitch count in this round. And now I'm just going to single crochet again in each stitch until I get to my opposing corner. Alrighty, and here I am at my next corner. I am simply going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together, just like I did on the other side. And then I will single crochet in each stitch around to get to my beginning of round marker. After that, I will count and make sure that I have 48 stitches. Alrighty, so I have completed my second setup round, and I am back to my original 48 stitches, which is perfect. That's exactly what I need. And now I am ready to actually begin the heel process. So for round 1, we're going to take out this stitch marker, and we are going to work a single crochet into that next stitch. And then we're going to replace that marker. Now, if you are using the pattern that is linked down below, this is the same exact pattern that we did for the toe of this sock. It's the same exact thing, the same 13 rounds. So you could either choose to keep following this video or just refer back to the pattern, whichever works best for you. but in this case, I'm going to walk you step by step through it again. So for round 1, we're going to start our decrease round. We're going to decrease during every odd round, and then we're going to simply single crochet in each stitch across in every even round. So for round 1, we are going to single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. So remember that stitch that we just marked counts as your first stitch. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stitches. And then we are simply going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 of those stitches, just like so, and that brings those 2 stitches down to 1. We're going to repeat that all the way around. So again, that is single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. There's 3, whoops, if my hook would get unstuck, there we go, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then single crochet those next 2 stitches together. And again, we are going to repeat that all the way around our entire sock. Alrighty, and there we go. So now we're ready for round 2, which again, at this round 2 and every other even round for the duration of this heel is going to be single crocheting in each stitch around without any decreases. So just single crochet in that next stitch, remove and replace that marker so that you know where the beginning of your round is, and then single crochet in each stitch across. Alrighty, I have completed round 2 and I'm ready for round 3. I have gone ahead and removed and replaced that marker and worked a single crochet into that stitch, and that is also the beginning of my next repeat. So I'm going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches and then single crochet the next 2 together. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Again, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 5 stitches, 3, 4, and 5, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, I'm all set up for round 4, which is just like any other any other even round. We're simply going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around our heel. Alrighty, I'm all ready for my next decrease round. This one is going to be single crocheting in each of the next 4 stitches and then single crocheting the next 2 together. So I've already done this first stitch. I'm going to do 3 more to finish off this first repeat, and then I'm going to single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So again, we're going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, and 4, and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Once more, repeating that all the way around. And there we are. It is getting smaller and smaller, which is always so exciting. It's time for our next even round, so simply place 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Alrighty, and we're back. It is time for round 7 of our heel. I've already worked my first stitch. Our repeat for this decrease round is going to be single crocheting in each of the next 3 stitches and then single crocheting in the next 2 together. So that's 1, 2, and lost that one, 3, and then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Once more, single crochet 1, 2, 3, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Repeat that all the way around. Okay, we just finished that decrease round, so it's time for another even round, which is our work round. We're just going to single crochet in each stitch around without any decreases. Alright, I'm back to my beginning of round, so I'm going to work a single crochet in the next stitch for the beginning of my repeat, and then remove and replace that marker. There we go. And it's time for round 9. So we are going to single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then single crocheting the next 2 together. You can see that number in between each decrease go down and down and down. Single crochet in the next 2 stitches, single crochet the next 2 stitches together. Simply going to repeat this per usual all the way around our entire sock until we get back to that beginning of round marker. Alrighty, they're getting quicker and quicker. It's time for another even round, so we simply single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Okay guys, it's time for another decrease round. We only have 3 rounds to go on this afterthought heel. Can you believe it? Okay, we are going to single crochet in this first stitch, remove and replace our marker, just like so. And then single crochet the next 2 stitches together. So that's our repeat for this round. Single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet the next 2 stitches together all the way around. Okay, we're down to our last 2 rounds. We're going to work our last plain single crochet round. So simply single crochet in each stitch around. And there are so few stitches now. I know it can be a little bit fiddly here towards the end because there's just so few stitches, but just hold it however is the most comfortable for you. And I'm already almost to the beginning of my round here. Just a couple more stitches. And there we go. Now I'm going to remove my marker. And I'm simply going to single crochet 2 together all the way around. Your final number will vary just a little bit depending on what size you are doing. Again, this pattern is linked down below. I am going to be finishing up with very few stitches, guys. Okay, so simply single crochet 2 together all the way around. Just a couple more to go. Oops. And last one here. And there we go. Now we're going to finish off our sock by slip stitching in the next stitch to secure. And then we will cut our yarn. You want to leave a little bit of a tail to close up this hole nice and neatly, so just about 6 inches or so. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through that loop to secure it. Alright, I'm going to slide these things out of the way. And then grab your yarn needle, and we are going to quickly close up this hole. So my favorite way to do this is to thread my yarn through my needle like so, and then go through just the front loops of each of these stitches with my yarn needle. So I'm simply going to insert my needle into the next stitch and pull it through. You could do a few stitches at a time, like this. You could do 1 stitch at a time. Whatever is the most comfortable for you is completely fine. You could also go through both loops or use a different seaming technique entirely. It's completely up to you. This is just the neatest way that I have found to seam up this hole. Alrighty, there we go. And then I am just going to thread through a couple of these stitches to make it extra secure. Just like that. And then I will poke my needle through the center of that heel in that hole that I just closed up. And then reach my hand through the leg, grab the needle and pull it through. And then I will weave in the end on the inside of the sock to keep it nice and hidden. And when you're all finished, this is what it should look like. Now, of course, it's going to look a lot smoother once it is completely blocked which is what this one is. Here is your completed sock with an afterthought heel. I hope you enjoyed following along with me as I crocheted this sock and completed its pair. I again absolutely love this pattern, and I really hope that you are now inspired and encouraged to crochet your very own pair of socks. Like I mentioned, be sure to check out all of the links in the description box below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. If you did make yourself a pair of crocheted socks, I would love to see them, so be sure to tag me on Instagram, send me a direct email, or post in the comments below. I cannot wait to see your beautiful handmade socks. Again, be sure to check out all of the links in the description box below so that you don't miss out on any awesome content. And I will see you guys again next time. Until then, happy making. Bye!